Starting our list at number 1 is Phasmophobia, which remains the undisputed king of cooperative ghost hunting, and playing it in VR escalates the terror to a completely new level. The game puts you and your friends in the role of paranormal investigators who must identify the type of ghost haunting various locations using realistic equipment. In virtual reality, the immersion is terrifying because you can physically hold the EMF reader and spirit box while looking over your shoulder constantly for movement. The voice recognition system allows you to speak to the ghosts directly, and hearing them whisper in your ear through spatial audio is unmatched. It receives constant updates that add new ghosts and maps, keeping the gameplay loop fresh and consistently frightening for veteran players. Coming in at number 2 is Madison VR, which transforms an already terrifying psychological horror game into an endurance test for your nerves through full immersion. You play as Luca, who is suffering from the brute force of a disturbing demon that has forced him to continue a gory ritual started decades ago. The core mechanic involves using an instant camera to bridge the gap between the world of the living and the dead, which requires you to physically lift the camera to your face in VR. The puzzles are intricate and changing the environment in real time, which makes the atmosphere incredibly oppressive and claustrophobic. It is visually stunning with photorealistic textures that make every shadow and flickering light feel dangerously real as you navigate the terrifying narrative. At number 3, we have Half-Life Alyx, which, while not strictly a horror game, features some of the most stressful and terrifying sequences ever designed for virtual reality. You play as Alyx Vance in a fight against a vicious alien combine, but the true horror comes from the headcrabs and the darkness of the quarantine zone. The chapter involving Jeff, a blind but invincible monster that tracks you by sound, is a masterclass in tension, requiring you to physically cover your mouth in real life to avoid coughing in the game. The physics interactions are the best in the industry, allowing you to interact with every object in the environment, which grounds you in the world. It sets the benchmark for what a high-budget VR title can achieve in terms of graphics and immersion. Moving to number 4 is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution, which offers a visceral survival horror experience with a focus on physics-based combat. You explore a flooded and walker-infested New Orleans where you must scavenge for supplies and craft weapons to survive the night. The combat is incredibly satisfying because you have to physically swing axes and stab knives with force to take down the zombies, which adds a layer of physical exertion to the fear. The sequel introduces night mode exploration, which ramps up the difficulty and horror as visibility drops and the number of walkers increases significantly. The narrative is engaging, with meaningful choices that affect the factions in the city, making every excursion feel risky and important. For number 5, we present Into the Radius VR, which is an atmospheric single-player survival shooter set in a surreal post-apocalyptic zone filled with deadly anomalies. The game draws heavy inspiration from the Stalker series, requiring you to maintain your weapons manually by cleaning them and loading magazines bullet by bullet. The enemies are distorted shadow creatures that mimic human voices and movements, creating an uncanny and terrifying experience as you explore the desolate landscape. The sense in isolation is palpable, and the sound design keeps you on edge as you navigate through anomalies that can crush or burn you in an instant. It is a slow-burn, hardcore experience that rewards careful planning and patience rather than run-and-gun tactics. Sitting at number 6 is Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2, which takes the famous jump scare franchise and perfects it for the virtual reality medium. You are tasked with completing various minigames that range from fixing animatronics to preparing food, while avoiding being attacked by the titular robotic characters. The VR perspective makes the animatronics feel massive and imposing, and the inability to look away adds to the stress of managing your tasks. The game features a wide variety of gameplay styles and environments from the series' history, all recreated with high-fidelity graphics and terrifying sound cues. It manages to balance the campy humor of the series with genuine dread, making it a must-play for fans and horror enthusiasts alike. At number 7, we have Propagation Paradise Hotel, which is a focused narrative-driven survival horror game that traps you in a hotel overrun by zombies. You play as a desperate survivor, trying to find your sister while managing a very limited supply of ammunition and health items. The game excels at creating a claustrophobic atmosphere where every dark corridor could hide a deadly enemy that requires precise aiming to defeat. The reloading mechanics are manual and frantic, forcing you to fumble with magazines while enemies lunge at you, which creates moments of pure panic. The visual fidelity is incredibly high, with detailed gore and lighting effects that make the hotel feel like a lived-in place that has gone terribly wrong. Coming in at number 8 is Alien Isolation, which transforms into a nightmare simulator when played in VR, putting you face-to-face with the perfect organism. You play as Amanda Ripley, navigating the Sevastopol space station while being hunted by a single dynamic alien that learns from your actions. The VR implementation allows you to physically lean around corners to peek and use the motion tracker, which heightens the tension as you watch the dot get closer. The sound design is crucial, as you must listen for the alien footsteps in the vents and stay perfectly still to avoid detection. It captures the retro-futuristic aesthetic of the original film perfectly, creating an environment that feels both nostalgic and utterly terrifying to explore. For number 9, we feature Green Hell VR, which is a brutal survival simulation set in the Amazon rainforest where the environment is just as deadly as the predators. You are stranded with no food or equipment and must learn to build shelters, make fire, and craft weapons using realistic hand movements. The horror comes from the psychological toll of isolation and the constant threat of jaguars, snakes, and hostile tribesmen that hunt you through the dense foliage. You also have to manage your sanity levels, which can lead to hallucinations if you stay in the darkness too long or eat the wrong things. The physical interactions for crafting and bandaging wounds are deeply immersive, making every survival victory feel earned and satisfying. Moving on to number 10 is the best open-world survival horror games, especially when experienced in virtual reality. You survive a plane crash on a mysterious peninsula and must build a base to defend against a society of cannibalistic mutants. The VR mode allows for full motion control combat, letting you swing axes and aim bows naturally, while chopping down trees feels like a workout. Exploring the deep underground cave systems in VR is a terrifying experience, as the darkness is absolute, and the sounds of mutants echoing in the distance creates high anxiety. The AI of the enemies is sophisticated, as they will stalk you and test your defenses before launching full-scale attacks on your base. At number 11 is Lethal Company, which has taken the co-op horror world by storm, and playing it with a VR mod makes the scavenging runs incredibly intense. You work as a contracted worker for the company, collecting scrap from abandoned industrial moons while avoiding absurdist monsters. The proximity voice chat is hilarious and terrifying, as you hear your friends scream and then suddenly go silent as they are taken by a monster in the dark. The low-fidelity aesthetic translates surprisingly well to VR, creating a sense of unease and making the monsters look even more unnatural and disturbing. It requires teamwork and communication to survive the quota, making it one of the most fun and scary multiplayer experiences available. Sitting at number 12 is Devour, which is a co-op horror survival game where you and your team must stop possessed cult leaders before they drag you to hell. The gameplay loop involves finding ritual items to cleanse the map, while the difficulty and aggression of the enemy ramps up over time. In VR, the jump scares are much more effective, and the need to physically pick up and manage items adds a layer of complexity to the frantic gameplay. Each map features a different, unique monster with its own mechanics and behaviors that you must learn to survive. The game is designed to be replayable, with random item spawns and unpredictable AI behavior that keeps you on your toes during every session. For number 13, we present Arizona Sunshine 2, which is the sequel to one of the original zombie VR shooters, bringing better graphics and physics. You embark on a cinematic campaign across a post-apocalyptic Arizona, accompanied by your faithful dog, Buddy, who can help you take down zombies. The gunplay is arcadey but satisfying, with a wide variety of weapons that feel punchy and responsive when dismembering the undead hordes. The inclusion of melee combat allows for brutal close-quarters encounters where you can use the environment to smash zombie heads. It balances humor and action with moments of tension, especially when you are exploring dark mines or tight indoor spaces packed with flesh-eating monsters. Coming in at number 14 is Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul, which is a game designed from the ground up for VR, based on the popular movie franchise. You explore a realistic house in a wood, looking for clues about what happened to the previous residents, while a supernatural presence haunts you. The game uses a randomization engine that changes where and when scares happen, meaning you can never predict what will happen next. There is very little HUD or handholding, which forces you to rely on your senses and a flashlight that constantly runs out of batteries. The atmosphere is thick with dread, and the sound design plays a huge role in making you feel like you are never truly alone in the house. At number 15, we have the Exorcist Legion VR, which is an episodic horror adventure that puts you in the shoes of a detective investigating supernatural crimes. Each episode takes place in a different location and deals with a distinct demonic entity, requiring you to use exorcism tools to survive. The game excels at building tension through environmental storytelling and subtle visual tricks, rather than relying solely on loud jump scares. The VR interactions are tactile, allowing you to hold a cross and holy water to defend yourself against the encroaching darkness. It is a shorter experience, but the density of the scares and the high quality of the production make it a memorable horror journey. Moving to number 16 is Cosmodread, which is a roguelike survival horror game set on a decaying spaceship filled with nightmarish creatures. You must explore the procedurally generated ship to find a way home while scavenging for resources like oxygen and ammo. The game features a rich tactile interface where you have to physically open lockers and manage your inventory on your wrist, while keeping an eye out for enemies. The darkness is a core mechanic, and you must manage your light sources carefully to avoid being ambushed by enemies that lurk in the shadows. The roguelike nature means that death is permanent, and every run offers a different layout and set of challenges to overcome. For number 17, we present Dreadhalls, which is a classic dungeon crawler that strips away combat in favor of pure stealth and exploration mechanics. You are trapped in a massive procedurally generated dungeon and must find the exit while avoiding various monsters that patrol the halls. The game is simple but effective, using the limited field of view and directional audio of VR to create a constant sense of paranoia. You have a map and a lantern that requires oil, and managing your light is crucial to avoid attracting the attention of the creatures. It is one of the older titles on this list, but it remains one of the most effective at generating raw fear through its atmosphere and sound design. Sitting at number 18 is Organ Quarter, which is a love letter to survival horror games of the 90s, specifically Silent Hill, but built for VR. You explore a twisted and fleshy city, solving puzzles and fighting monsters with limited resources and clunky weapons. The art style is distinctively grotesque, with environments that look like they are made of meat and rust, creating a unique and disturbing visual identity. The VR implementation allows for manual reloading and physical interaction with the puzzles, which feel grounded in this strange world. It captures the feeling of isolation and confusion that defined the classic survival horror era, while offering a fresh perspective. At number 19 is Labyrinthine, which is a co-op horror game that focuses on solving puzzles while navigating complex mazes and avoiding monsters. You and your friends must communicate effectively to solve riddles and find clues, while being hunted by unique creatures with different behaviors. The mazes are procedurally generated or handcrafted depending on the mode, offering plenty of variety and replayability for groups. The atmosphere is heavy with fog and ambient sounds that make it easy to get separated from your team, adding to the panic. It encourages cooperation and role usage, as some players might need to distract the monster while others complete the objective. At
At number 20, we feature Forewarned, which is a cooperative survival horror game where you delve into ancient Egyptian tombs to collect archaeological evidence. You and your team of archaeologists must identify the magi that guards the tomb while navigating traps and solving puzzles. The game supports VR natively, allowing you to hold torches and use tools like radar and cameras to detect the spiritual presence. The tombs are procedurally generated, ensuring that the layout and trap placement are different every time you play. The moment the Magi manifests is terrifying, as you have to physically run for your life or hide in sarcophagi to avoid being killed.
Coming in at number 21 is After the Fall, which is a fast-paced co-op zombie shooter from the creators of Arizona Sunshine, set in a frozen wasteland. You team up with 3 other players to fight through hordes of snowbreed mutants using a variety of customizable weapons. The game is more action-oriented than others on this list, but the sheer number of enemies and the intensity of the boss fights create a thrilling horror atmosphere. The cross-platform multiplayer ensures a healthy player base, and the arcade-style gameplay makes it easy to jump in for quick sessions. It features a unique reloading system and special abilities that encourage teamwork and strategy during the chaotic battles. For number 22, we have Blair Witch VR, which adapts the psychological horror of the movie into a narrative-driven game set in the Black Hills Forest. You play as Alyx, a former police officer with a troubled past, who joins the search for a missing boy with his dog Bullet. The forest is a warping and confusing environment that changes as you play, designed to disorient you and make you question your sanity. The interaction with Bullet is key, as you can command him to seek out tracks or bark at threats, which grounds you in the experience. The use of a camcorder with night vision is a central mechanic that reveals hidden horrors and helps you navigate the dark woods. Sitting at number 23 is Layers of Fear VR, which takes the psychedelic horror of the original game and translates it into a terrifying virtual reality trip. You explore a Victorian mansion as a painter who is slowly losing his mind, trying to finish his magnum opus. The game is famous for its changing geometry, where rooms shift and change when you look away, creating a disorienting and impossible space. In VR, this effect is even more powerful, as your physical sense of direction is manipulated by the game design. It is a walking simulator at its core, but the density of the scares and the disturbing imagery make it a relentless horror experience. At number 24 is Killing Floor Incursion, which brings the wave-based survival action of the main franchise into a narrative-driven VR campaign. You play as a soldier in a simulation, fighting against the Zeds with a variety of melee and ranged weapons, including dual pistols and shotguns. The combat is gory and satisfying, allowing you to dismember enemies and use their limbs as weapons in a pinch. The campaign can be played solo or in co-op, and features diverse environments, from farmhouses to high-tech labs. It combines the arcade fun of shooting waves of monsters with moments of genuine horror as you navigate dark and claustrophobic levels. Finally, at number 25, we have Subnautica, which, while primarily an exploration game, becomes a terrifying thalassophobia simulator in VR. You crash land on an ocean planet and must survive by crafting equipment and diving deeper into the unknown depths. The scale of the underwater creatures is breathtaking and terrifying in VR, especially when you encounter the massive leviathans in the deep, dark water. The sense of isolation and the crushing pressure of the ocean create a unique type of horror that is different from traditional jump scare games. Managing your oxygen and vehicle integrity while exploring the beautiful but deadly biomes is an unforgettable experience.